I would prefer not to, by user Saren Lavant. So I'm at Barnes & Noble waiting for my girlfriend to get off work, and I'm sitting in the cafe reading Mary Poppins when a lady comes up to me asking if I could help her find books by P.L. Travers. I get why she asked me, but I've had a bad day and don't want to deal with people, so without even looking at her I just say I would prefer not to, which annoys her. She starts going off about how she's gonna get my manager and tell them I'm ruining products and refusing to help customers. So I tell her it's my personal copy, also the cover doesn't match the newer editions, and ignore her. She continues to get pissy and a manager comes by to see what's going on. She gives the whole spiel to the manager and demands he fire me, to which he gloriously replies, I would prefer not to. The woman huffed off pretty quick after that, looking like we just shot her dog. Melville would be proud. I don't work here, I'm a patient, by user PokeMom95. This happened a few days ago. I, 26F, am 11 weeks pregnant with my second child. I work at an optical center as a technician, and our uniform is plain scrubs that can be any color but no pattern. On this day, I had just returned to work after having to quarantine due to having COVID. I started my shift at 9 a.m. I seemed fine and was so glad to be back at work. About an hour and a half into my shift, I was with one of our patients doing an eye test called an optos. While standing at the machine, I started to feel unwell. It started with sudden, severe nausea, which quickly was accompanied by a dizzy feeling. Then my eyesight started to go black at the edges. I've had vertigo my entire life, so I attributed this to a normal vertigo episode that would be done in a few seconds. However, when I didn't start to feel better after a few seconds, I knew something was wrong. I left the patient I was with and went out into the hall. I called for my supervisor, who was also with a patient. When she came out and asked what was wrong, I got as far as I don't feel too good before everything went black and I woke up on the floor with our eye doctor leaning over me, telling someone to call 911. At the hospital, they could not find any reason as to why I fainted, and only gave "you're pregnant" as a possible cause. When I was told I could go home, I started getting dressed and went out into the waiting room to wait for my fiancé to pick me up. At this point, I was wearing my maroon scrubs. In the 30 minutes it took my fiancé to leave work to come get me, he didn't know what happened until I was able to call him. I had several people come up to me asking how long they had to wait to be seen. After telling so many people I didn't work there, some more than once, I unintentionally yelled at this old lady who rudely asked me why I was sitting around instead of working on getting her an ER room. Listen B*TCH, I do not work here. I am a patient. Just because I am wearing scrubs doesn't mean I work at the hospital. Leave me the heck alone. Please. At this point I was almost in hysterical tears because I didn't feel good and just wanted to go home and lay down. Now I feel bad for yelling at the woman, but surely she should have heard me telling other people I didn't work there. I need a translator, by user Q007. I'm a shift manager for a retail drugstore chain. We offer a variety of services. One is a wire transfer of money. So one night I have a customer, who we'll call Jane, who can only speak Spanish. She brought a friend along, but something happens where they get into an argument and the friend leaves. I barely know any Spanish. Took it in high school and failed. Jane is now irate that I can't help her. I get my phone and turn on Google Translate, but it doesn't work. Apparently Jane is illiterate. Just to clear the air. I hold no resentment against people who can't speak English in the US. Unless you know all the details about someone, you have no right to judge. Both my parents are Chinese immigrants and came to the US in their 30s barely speaking a word of English. Although they learned, they never truly mastered it. Quite often as a kid I had to translate or clear up what someone was saying. Jane starts yelling at every customer who passes asking if they speak Spanish. Most customers just run away, probably because of her attitude. Finally a customer, who we'll call John, gets flagged down and offers help. John asks Jane to please speak slowly and calm down. John tells me that he's a high school Spanish teacher. He teaches formal terms and Jane is using a lot of Colombian slang terms. John helps Jane finish her paperwork and translates as I'm walking her through the paying process. After Jane leaves I thank John profusely, telling him he's a lifesaver. John says no thank you. This was at the beginning of the COVID lockdowns. John explains that ever since the lockdown happened he hasn't had a chance to practice his Spanish, so this was a perfect opportunity. Anyone who speaks multiple languages knows that if you don't use it, you lose it. I give John a discount and a store gift card. John tells me that he gave Jane his number so he can help her learn English and hopes that she'll take his offer. She actually praised me at my store, by user material wrongdoer 81. I worked at department store in the mid-90s. We had to wear a red vest. This is relevant later. On my way home after work one day, I remembered that I forgot to pick up a few things. I stopped at a different department store. It was winter and I did not feel like taking my coat off to take my vest off, so I just zipped up my coat and went in. I was doing some shopping when a lady approached me and asked where something was. I said I don't work here and she pointed to my belly. I looked down and part of my vest was showing. I unzipped my coat and showed her what company I worked for. She was embarrassed, smiled, and asked if I could help her. I was tired from working and said, fine, and took her to what she wanted. She thanked me, took my name, and said she would let my manager know next time she was at my store. I wrote it off as her just backpedaling as her way to end her embarrassment. Fast forward 2 weeks. My manager approached me and asked if help someone at X. I told her what happened and my manager was as shocked as I was and thanked me for stealing a customer from the competition. Be aware of what is attached to your person, by user Splurtosaurus. I just read through a bunch of stories so I thought I'd share a couple. Nothing crazy, no Karens, but funny to me. Back in the late 90s, I worked for a healthcare company in Atlanta. Our dress code was button down, button up, shirt, slacks, and leather shoes. One lunch break, I ran into a Kroger to grab some lunch. I got distracted in the freezer section and I kept hearing someone say excuse me. I turned around and it's a little old lady talking to me. I said hi and then she asked me to retrieve something from on top of the freezers. I politely told her I didn't work here. Then she asked me why I was wearing a badge. I look at my shirt and realize I'm wearing a blue badge which looks very similar to the blue Kroger badges. I helped her out by finding an actual Kroger employee. Fast forward to 2018 and I'm doing the weekend dad fix crap in my house. I run to Home Depot to quickly grab something I needed. I'm in the irrigation section and I hear the voice excuse me. I turn around and it's a lady asking me to help her cut some PVC pipe. I tell her that I don't work here and she says, why do you have a measuring tape attached to your belt? Well, I had been measuring crap all day at home and I guess I forgot to take it off. I helped her find a real employee. We laughed about that one.